What's up, guys? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devo, and we're going through the book of James today. I hope that you have studied and read and been going through it with me, because it's been a great time so far, even though we're only in the third episode. But what we got is James chapter 1, 5 through 8. As we continue this study, man, I want to remind us that there's three things that James is trying to let us know. Yesterday or the last episode, however you've seen these, we saw that the first one was that we are going through trials, and we will go through trials, and how we should kind of respond to them. First is that we should respond to them in joy because of what they're going to do for us. They're going to make us look like Jesus. And today we're going to go through the second one, which is going to be about wisdom. So if you haven't read 5 through 8 yet, go ahead and stop the tape, check it out, read it, come back, and we'll answer the 4 questions. If you have, hey, there's no need for delay. So let's jump into it. What does James say in verses 5 through 8? Well, he says if you lack wisdom. So we talked about last time, it says through these various trials, it says that if you go through them in endurance, stay steadfast, it says then you'll be complete and whole, lacking nothing. And then he uses that word lacking to kind of springboard to his next idea, his next thing that he wants to talk about, which is wisdom. And so he says, if anybody lacks wisdom. And so when I start off, I think first off, specifically, he's probably talking about when you're going through these trials and you just don't know what to do. And you're like, man, I'm trying to endure. I'm trying to stay steadfast to follow you, God, but I am unsure as to how to handle this situation. He says, if you lack wisdom, then ask. But I don't think it's just strictly for that. Even though I think it springboards from that, I think it's also saying that if you just lack wisdom in general, ask God. Now, why do you ask God? Well, he says it's because he's the one who gives. He's the giving God. And not only does he give, it says that he gives generously, abundantly. And he says he gives without rebuke or without maligning you because you're asking him. He's like, oh, why would you ask me for that? I guess I'll just give it to you. No. He says he gives generously, man. And it says, and if you do, it says it will be given to you if you ask. Now, there's things that are required of this asking, he says. It says that when you ask, that you have to ask in faith, not doubting. And I think when he says not doubting, I think he's talking about doubting the nature of God. It's not the fact that you doubt sometimes things in the world that are happening and wondering why they're going on, but you cannot doubt the nature of God, his character, that he is good, because James is going to start talking about who God is a little bit later, and he's going to say he's the good God. We can't doubt that he's the giving God. You see, that's a part of the character of God, is that he's the giving God. We're going to see also that he's the good God. It says that every good gift comes from him. And then we're going to see that he's the unchanging God, or the immutable God. We can't doubt that he's the immutable God and that what he says he will do. And so we've got to ask without doubting God's character. He says, because when we doubt God's character, it says we're like the sea. We're just moving back and forth, never stop, unsteady and unstable. Double-minded is what he says. And I think that's a reference to Jesus. To Jesus is saying, it says that a person has to be single-minded in what he does. He says, you can't serve God and mammon, or you can't serve God and riches. I think that's where James is coming from, is some of the teachings of Jesus. And so this word that I said, that it says he gives generously, it's the word in Greek is aplos. And that actually not only can mean generously, but it can mean single-minded or devotedly. And so it means that he would give these things with the singleness of mind for us. And I think that is kind of what James is playing off of when he says a man is double-minded. If you want the God who is single-mindedly for our good, single-mindedly to give us things that we need, then we have to be single-minded in trusting him. And so let's ask the second question, is what is this saying about God? Well, I think we can just jump straight off of what I talked about and that word oplos and the fact that God is single minded in giving us good things. So, what that means to me is that God is devoted to give us the things that we need when we ask Him, and specifically wisdom, man. And so, second is that God is a wise God. So, not only is He willing to give us the things that we need, but the wisdom that we try and find can only be found in Him. Not to say that we can't have knowledge or intelligence or understanding outside of knowing God, but the true application of that understanding, how we navigate our lives, that can only be found in knowing God. That can only be found in the giving of wisdom by God. Well, what is this saying about man? Well, it's saying we should ask for wisdom. So we need to be humble and we need to go ahead and give it up. Ask God so that we can receive it. But also, I think it's like that we should understand that when we go through this life, that we will have struggles in trying to figure out the purpose or what's going on. And so, as man, we should not expect to understand and know all things. And then finally, how do we apply these things to our lives? Well, I think the application is that we should trust in the provision and wisdom of God. We should just trust and rely on God. Trust in His character and His nature. Trust in who He is and His mind for us. I appreciate you guys for listening. And I'm excited to continue through this book. And I will see you guys in the next episode as we talk about the final thing that James is kind of concerned with, and then dive deeper into those things as the book continues. I'll see you in the next episode.